This is a 5-1, meaning we only have one setter. Okay, so then you have 5 other hitters here. So when you're doing the lineup, it's going to go setter, outside, middle, right side, outside, middle. Okay, right now they're in rotational base 1, and that is why they're not in their actual base. So as you saw, your outside hitter is here, and your right side hitter is over in the outside spot, but that's because it's rotational base. So in order to get them into their actual base, you cannot rotate to your base until the serve is in play. So if we have serve, then our setter is going to go back to serve. So you have your hitters big at the net. Then they're going to serve the ball. And when they do, they're going to go to their bases. Okay, so now you have your right side in the right spot, your middle stays, and your outside's in their correct spot. Then you have your wings, your setter, and your outside at their base at the 10-foot line, and your middle back staying deep in the court. Okay, now we're going to go to serve receive number 1. So as you can see, he's still in the front row, but he has to push back because your setter is in the back row, and you never want them to get the first ball on serve receive because they want to get the second ball. So they're going to be pushing up, and then he is going to be pulling back. But the key here is to be at least one step in front of your other back row players so that you don't get called on rotation. Another thing here is that your setter, raise your hand please, can't go in front of your front row hitter. Thank you. So in order to do this, it's called stacking. They're stacked all the way over there, and you're actually going to be all the way pushed on this line. You too. But you're going to make sure you're staying inside the court. This way, your back row players can move wherever they need to because they cannot cross their setter technically in this line. So if, Val, can you come right here? If she's here and she's all the way over here, they're out of rotation because Val is technically, your setter, raise your hand, is technically still in the back row and they cannot cross. So it is crucial to remember who your neighbors are and then who your opposite is. So this is option 1 for serve receive. You have your right side hitter pulled back. Now, serve receive option 2 would be where he comes to the 10-foot line and they drop back. Your setter then is all the way back there. This is not the best option because now your setter has to travel all the way from the back end line to the front row. Oh, also, your outside hitter, please raise your hand, has to be in front of all back row players and cannot cross your middle. So another way to do this is, let's just say that, can you please raise your hand? She was having a hard time passing, so you want to have another option. We would drop her all the way to the end line. This is called hiding a player. If someone is struggling, please make sure you're one step in front. And then please both of you raise your hands. You can both be parallel with each other, but they have to be in front of the other 2 back row players. Put down your hands and raise your hands. They have to be in front of them. Okay? So you can do that with any player though. You could rotation 2. Okay, so now we have our outside, our middle, our right side, our outside, our middle, and our other right side, aka setter. Okay, so with this, you can actually go right into your bases because your outside is off the court. So our middle can actually go right into their middle back, and our setter can go right up to their base at the 10-foot line. And then our middle can actually go right into the middle and stay there, and our right side can just stand right on this side of him to then cross over, and you got our other outside already in their base. So if we serve the ball and we go to our bases, so now we have our back row players at their bases and the front row players at their bases as well. Now rotation 2, serve receive. Our setter is pushing up our other right side, their opposite in the middle, and then we got our outside pulling back to pass. There you go. One thing about this, just again, is that our outside hitter pulling back has to be in front of their back row players, and then our setter is pushing up right side. They can actually be right behind the right side or wherever you so choose to put them, but remember that she has to be in between the two back row players overall. So as long as they're not crossing, they're fine. So this is rotation 2, serve receive option 1. Option 2 would be, okay, then you have your middle dropping back and it has to be in front of the back row players. Okay, so this is option 2. So then if we wanted to do another hideaway where someone else would be struggling, we either have our middle or our outsides that can rotate either direction and cover a player. Okay, rotation 3. Okay, so now we have our middle, our right side's already in their base, we have our outside, our middle, our right side slash setter, and our other outside. Okay, so with this being said, you have your outside and your setter that needs to be in different spots, so they can actually meet up right in the middle to then switch on serve. Then we have our middle, who can just be right into the middle, and then we can have our outside cross over when the serve is done. So take a step back. There you go. All right, we serve, we go to our spots. Okay, this is rotation 3. Okay, rotation 3, serve receive, option 1. And then you have your right side dropping back. The key here is they still have to be in front of the back row players. This is serve receive, number 3, option 1. Rotation 3, serve receive, option 2 would be where you have your right side on the 10-foot line, you have your back row players sliding all the way over, your setter tucked behind. This is something you don't really want to ever do unless you absolutely have to, because now your setter has to run all the way across the court. Rotation 3, serve receive, option 3, is you would have your setter still pushing up here, and then you guys sliding back, and then you have your outside player who can cover any of the other players back there if someone's struggling. Rotation 4. Okay, so now it's right side, outside, middle, right side or setter, outside, middle. This is where it changes if you're running a 6-2. You would usually put in a new setter, and then you'd have a right side come in, or unless your setter also plays right side, because your setter always comes from the back row. But back row. But this is a 5-1, so now we don't have another setter, so our setter is playing front row. So we only have 5 hitters because our right side is our setter, so we don't have a right side. And that's just something we have to remember as we're playing. So with that being said, you have your 2 front row players, you got your middle here, and then you have your outside and your setter coming in to cross over so they can go to their bases. And then you already have your middle and your outside in their base in the back row, and you have your right side serving to come into their base. So if they serve and they come in to their bases, okay, that is rotation 4, serving. Now, rotation 4, serve receive, option 1. So you're going to come straight up to the net. So here you would never have your setter pulling off. Your setter always stays up to the net, and you would slide over here a little bit more, and you would be on the 10-foot line. Okay, here you would have your hitters off on the 10-foot line, and you got 3 across in the back row. Now, rotation 4, serve receive, option 1. So here you would never have your setter pulling off. Your setter always stays up to the net, and you would slide over here a little bit more, and you would be on the 10-foot line. Okay, here you would have your hitters off on the 10-foot line, and you got 3 across in the back row. Here is something where, as a coach, you can kind of decide what you would like to do. Some coaches never have their middle ever passing, so that sometimes you could bring your middle all the way up to the net. and then sometimes you can have them off. And then if someone was struggling, you can use either a front row player to hide another player in the back row. So really there's only one option with multiple different options in the same dynamic for serve receive number 4. Rotate. Serving, rotation 5. So now we got our outside serving, our middle up front, our right side slash setter, then we got our outside, our middle, our right side, and then again our outside serving. So with that being said, your middle can actually just stay right into the middle. Our setter is going to cross over, your outside's already in their base, middle can actually go right into their base, in the back, go right to your base, and you can go right to your base as a right side. Making sure you're sliding in a little bit. Okay, if our outside serves, then you run up to your base, left back, base, go to your base. Serve, receive, rotation 5. You got your setter playing out of the middle. You got 3 straight across in the back row, and I would actually have my wings come in between our back row players to ensure that we have full coverage on the court. Okay, rotate. Rotation 6. You have our middle serving, our setter is in their base, our outside, our middle, our right side, and our other outside. Here it kind of repeats itself, so we have our 2 back here switching over their spots. Okay, and then we have our middle already in their middle with our outside crossing over. Okay, so we got our middle serving, and we're going to go to our bases. Okay, serve, receive, number 6. Okay, again we have our 2 wings in between our other back row players, and our setter is already at their base in their zone in the target spot for setting. And that is a 5-1.